Hello, fellow survivor. Are you struggling to survive in DayZ in the cold world of Chernarus? Tired of dying from starvation, thirst, and infection? Well, look no further. In this video, I will break down the basic mechanics of DayZ and set you on the path of surviving many cold nights in Chernarus. Stick around. When you spawn into the Eastern European themed world of Chernarus, the first thing you'll want to do is figure out where exactly you're located. Over time, you'll learn the map, but that could take several dozen, if not hundreds, of hours. My first recommendation for surviving in DayZ is to download an app called iSurvive. iSurvive is a phone-based and web-based interactive map. Unfortunately, iSurvive doesn't connect directly to DayZ and pinpoint exactly where you are on the map, so you'll need to find yourself a town sign in-game. Town signs can be found on the main roads that lead into and out of towns. Unfortunately for us American-based players, these signs are in what I can only assume is Russian, but luckily for you, iSurvive has the Russian spelling and the English spelling of every town name. When you first spawn, you will almost certainly be in or near a coastal town. Most spawns are around the towns circled in red on the map, which are typically Svetlo, Berezino, Solny, Kami, Elektro, and Cherno. It's very important that you learn these towns. Now that you've downloaded the iSurvive map and you figured out where you are in Chernarus, we will begin to focus on setting you up for short-term survival. After all, you can't get to long-term survival if you don't ever make it beyond the short-term survival. So to ensure your short-term survival, we will be focusing on what I like to call the immediate essentials. These include things like food, water, and a melee weapon. Finding food in DayZ can definitely be a challenge, and truthfully, right out of the gate, starvation will most likely be your biggest threat to your survival. The DayZ gods were gracious enough to start you off with a piece of fruit, but really it's not going to do much more than just prolong your inevitable death for more than just a few minutes. There's absolutely no reason to hold on to this piece of fruit, so just make sure you eat it right away. It's also important to note that your hunger levels will go down faster or slower depending on what your character is doing. Until you have a steady supply of food, or unless you're being chased by either a player or a zombie, I would really never recommend sprinting. Sprinting is a less efficient use of calories than jogging. And by this I mean, let's say sprinting makes your character run twice as fast than jogging. However, it's going to use 3 times the amount of calories in jogging. So, as you can see, yes, sprinting makes you run faster, but it also burns your calories at a considerably higher rate. At this point, it's really just about jogging around and looting houses and trying to find food. You'll come across different types of fresh foods and pre-packaged foods. Some packaged foods you will need something to sharp like a knife or a machete to open them with, so it's really a great idea to pick up anything sharp that you find. When it comes to finding food, I would always recommend sticking to houses and food markets, and especially looking in kitchens. Garages and industrial style buildings won't really ever spawn food, so if you're looking for food, you don't need to really look there. You can also hunt and kill animals for food, but I'm going to cover this in a later video that will be entirely dedicated to hunting, fishing, and cooking, so make sure you stay tuned for that. Also, never, ever eat human flesh, rotten food, or raw meat. For the sake of time, I'm not going to explain it in this video why. I'll put that in my hunting video, but just trust me, don't do it. The next biggest threat to your survival will be finding clean water to drink. If you drink from a pond or any sort of unsanitary water source without first purifying the water, you will get cholera and likely die. Simply put, just don't risk it. The best thing for you to do early on is figuring out if the town you're in has a well. Drinking from a well, assuming you don't have bloody hands, is completely safe and really the best way to fill yourself up on water. You can find which towns in DayZ have wells by looking at the iSurvive map and looking for the water, pump, or well symbol. Since not all towns have wells, that may not be an immediate option for you, but luckily there are a few other things that you can drink. You may find different cans of soda to drink, which is a completely safe way to get some hydration, and even eating will give you some hydration as well. There's also plastic bottles and canteens that spawn, but they have a chance of spawning with disease in them, so it's best to just dump that water out, bring the bottle with you, and then fill it up at a well. If you're lucky enough to find some chlorine tablets, typically found in hospitals and clinics, you can fill your bottle or canteen with anything you like and then purify the water, and it's completely safe to drink. However, finding these tablets early on in the game is probably going to be very difficult, so I wouldn't really rely on that. It's no doubt that while you're looting houses looking for food and water, you're going to come across some infected zombies. And until you find a melee weapon, it's really just best to avoid them. Make sure you're crouching, moving slow, staying out of their line of sight and things like that to avoid detection. And once you find a melee weapon, you're going to be much better off combating zombies that stand in your way. For your first melee weapon, really anything's going to do. However, not all melee weapons are created equally. I generally look for the big heavy weapons like an axe or a sledgehammer or a pickaxe. However, if you have something small like a crowbar or a knife, that is definitely better than nothing. Even if you're doing best to stay out of the zombies' way, eventually you will get into a fight with an infected, and many times it really is even encouraged to try to grab some of their loot, which could be food, backpacks, small weapons, things like that. Killing a zombie can actually be pretty easy if you know how to do a stealth kill, or if that fails, just learn how to defend yourself. A stealth kill can be done if you sneak up behind a zombie and attack them with some sort of a sharp weapon, no matter the size of that sharp weapon. As long as it's not an axe, you can stealth kill. Doing so will perform a silent kill. Even though the zombie is going to let out a snarl or a scream, the other zombies won't be alerted. If you find yourself detected though, the best way to fight a zombie is to hold up your melee weapon, or fists if you don't have a weapon, and just start walking backwards. Doing so will put the character in a defense position, and when the zombie strikes, you will not take damage. If a zombie hits and scratches you during a fight, you may begin bleeding, which is going to be indicated by this status icon. The number displayed here is how many bandages it'll take to actually stop the bleeding. Make sure if possible that you use disinfected bandages. If you don't, you may risk an infection, which is just one of 1,000 different ways to die in Chernarus. You will start off with a disinfected bandage, but you can also disinfect other bandages and rags that you may find along the way using items like alcohol, iodine, and disinfectant spray. Now that you got the basics of finding food, finding water, and surviving zombie combat, you can start thinking about your long-term survival. Things that you're going to want to focus on are warmer clothes, a backpack for more storage, a better melee weapon, and then a gun. While I most certainly can't guarantee you survival in Chernarus since death is inevitable, I can say that using these tips will help you stay alive longer to possibly find better gear, which will then increase your odds of survival. If you enjoyed this video or if it helped you out, please don't be shy. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, leave a like, and consider subscribing to my channel. I'm an extremely new channel. At the point of recording this, I have literally 0 subscribers, and any interaction with my video or channel will boost my content in the YouTube algorithm. Have a great day, my friends, and do your best to survive.